Good, happy Thursday morning, September 5th, 2019. I'm Riley King, and welcome to the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. We have a lot of news to get to, so let's begin. First up, owner of P Before We Go, New Hampshire license plates appears on GMA 3. Wendy Agger nearly lost plates to DMV recently. Let's take a listen to this video from WMUR News 9.
At Beltates, customers will find everything they need for a building project. The brand names you trust to perform. And with a fleet of over 50 delivery vehicles, we deliver when and where our customers need them. Beltates Building Products. 9 locations throughout New Hampshire and Massachusetts.
Well, she fought the law and won.
One mom's license plate got attention she was not expecting. And today, Wendy Auger and her kids and her car were on ABC's Strahan, Sarah, and Kiki to tell their story. Her vanity plate is her message for her kids. Pee before we go.
She had this plate for about 15 years until she recently got a letter from the DMV telling her that it was offensive. Michael Strahan disagreed, saying it was a good reminder.
My identity, 15 years having it, saying it every time we leave, except for yesterday. Because we had to stop 2 miles down the road at the Dunkin' Donuts to
And
go to
that's
the
why
bathroom.
we pee before we go.
Yes.
There's your New Hampshire family.
That's right. Gotta remember that. New Hampshire print shops are having a field day with Wendy's plates. The parental phrase now available on t-shirts and keychains. You can get yours today to remind your whole family.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. East Rochester woman celebrates 100th birthday hiking Blue Job Mountain. She ascended mountain with family at her side. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Siobhan Lopez.
I can't turn cartwheels.
Cartwheels may be out of the question for Edith Pierce, but this week on her 100th birthday,
We climbed a mountain.
Edith hiked Blue Job Mountain in Stratford with family, including her granddaughter Becky.
And halfway up, she says, "Whose stupid idea was this?"
Did I really say that?
You really did. And we said, "It's yours, keep going." And she made it. She was very proud of herself.
The East Rochester great-grandmother welcomed a challenging trail.
We made you go the hard one.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All rested up from her big hike, Edith is already talking about her next birthday.
I'll go next year.
Edith says they're not what she'd call a knitting family, and when she gets old, she'll get back to sewing.
I don't feel old. No. I don't think I ever will because I've got too many people around me who are my age.
I'm not your age.
I'm sorry. That was a slip.
Her younger family members support her and keep her feeling young while she inspires them to live life to the fullest.
She's been a good grandmother, and her husband was an awesome grandfather.
Her advice on living to 100 and beyond: half a grapefruit a day and salt water.
Tell them to get in that ocean as much as you can. Try anything once at least.
Edith says there are still things she wants to do, but so far, it's been an unusually wonderful life.
I've done an awful lot. I've traveled an awful lot. I've had a good life.
In East Rochester, Siobhan Lopez, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. An 11-year-old boy injured after being hit by a car near bus stop. Derry police are investigating the incident. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Charisse LeClaire.
At Beltates, customers will find everything they need for a building project. The brand names you trust to perform. And with a fleet of over 50 delivery vehicles, we deliver when and where our customers need them. Beltates Building Products. 9 locations throughout New Hampshire and Massachusetts.
Well, Tom, still a lot of unanswered questions surrounding this incident tonight, but police say when officers got to that scene, the boy was alert and he was able to speak.
You think the worst when you hear a child involved.
An 11-year-old boy taken to Elliott Hospital this afternoon with injuries. Police say he was hit by a car.
He was about a building and a half or so away from where he was dropped off and was crossing the street when a vehicle struck him.
Much of the incident is still under investigation tonight. Sergeant Christopher Talbot says officers were called to Linloo Drive just after 2 this afternoon for reports of a crash. Talbot says the boy had gotten off the bus and was on his way home. The driver stayed on scene. Police say that person is cooperating. Authorities say it's still too early to know whether any charges could be filed. Tonight, the boy's condition is unknown to police. Authorities are still in the early stages of their investigation. They say, though, some buses have surveillance cameras.
We will be looking at that. The bus company typically does cooperate with investigations like this, so we will look into that.
They say this is every parent's worst nightmare and have advice as kids are back to school and often walking near roadways.
It's good for kids to walk together before crossing the street. Always look both ways, ideally crossing a crosswalk.
Now, it's still unclear tonight whether that boy was walking alone or with other kids and parents. Live in Derry tonight, I'm Charisse LeClaire, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Law enforcement bail reform crime wave puts public safety at risk. Officials say bail reform law allows dangerous offenders to be released. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Adam Sexton.
At Beltates, customers will find everything they need for a building project. The brand names you trust to perform. And with a fleet of over 50 delivery vehicles, we deliver when and where our customers need them. Beltates Building Products. 9 locations throughout New Hampshire and Massachusetts.
Bail reform, a new law that restricts pretrial detention, has been in effect for a year now. It hasn't been a smooth process. Lawmakers had to take action earlier this year when it came to light that several potentially dangerous offenders were being released. But now, some top law enforcement officials around the state say that fix isn't working. Manchester Mayor Joyce Craig recently came forward to back up police who say bail reform is fueling crime, drug use, and homelessness in downtown Manchester.
At some point, there's got to be a consequence or we're going to see repeat behavior.
Manchester Police Chief Carlo Capano says bail reform has emboldened repeat offenders. An officer recently broke his leg trying to detain a man who had been arrested and released for fighting with police just a few days prior.
It's very frustrating on a personal level when you see one of your officers get hurt by somebody that should never have been back out on the street, and they were.
It's not just Manchester. Sullivan County Attorney Mark Hathaway says under bail reform, repeat offenders are committing a half a dozen or more separate crimes before judges allow them to be held in jail.
People who are objectively dangerous being released into the community, and when they violate the conditions of their release, it being extremely difficult to detain them.
Hathaway says bail reform is putting public safety at risk.
It's no exaggeration to say there's a crime wave on bail.
I would agree with that.
Chief Capano says while property crime is down in Manchester, violent crime is on the rise, but it's too soon to tell if bail reform is playing a role. The ACLU, which wrote the law, says it is working as intended.
I think what needs adjustment is the police attitude and prosecutors' attitudes.
Nonetheless, legislative leaders tell News 9 they're open to revising the law yet again.
Something has to be done, and it has to be done soon, or we're going to continue to see things spiral out of control.
Adam Sexton, WMUR, News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Craig announces new proposal to tackle Manchester homelessness problem. New ordinance planned to address trespassing and camping. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Kristen Carosa.
At Beltates, customers will find everything they need for a building project. The brand names you trust to perform. And with a fleet of over 50 delivery vehicles, we deliver when and where our customers need them. Beltates Building Products. 9 locations throughout New Hampshire and Massachusetts.
Manchester Mayor Joyce Craig says a limited number of emergency beds statewide is causing an influx of homeless people to Manchester.
The Nashua emergency beds have been closed. Concord closes their shelter in the summertime.
The mayor says the increased homeless population is causing fighting, yelling, and other violations of city rules.
We have seen an increase in meth in the city, and that brings about behavior that is a bit aggressive and brazen.
To help, the city has hired a homeless coordinator. New ordinances will also be written to address trespassing on public property and camping.
In building the ordinance, we'll be working closely with the shelter because communication is key in that.
She also believes a Safe Station program where people suffering from addiction can walk into a firehouse for help at any time needs to somehow limit the influx of people from outside the city. But Alderman Joseph Kelly Levasseur believes more needs to be done.
It doesn't go far enough, but it's a step in the right direction. It's taken us over 18 months to convince the mayor that we do have a problem.
Levasseur also believes the state's bail reform is a big part of the problem, which has allowed more people charged with crimes to be released back into the community.
You have the right to live in your community and buy property and expect it to increase in value, not decrease in value.
Now, these initiatives are part of a long-term plan, but city leaders hope to see positive changes within 3 to 4 months. We're live in Manchester. Kristen Carosa, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And now let's take a look at your 2020 New Hampshire candidate tracker for Thursday, September 5th, 2019. There are 2 candidates that will be in New Hampshire today. The first candidate is Tulsi Gabbard. Her first event, speaking at Politics and Eggs at St. Elmsome College in Manchester, New Hampshire at 8 o'clock a.m. Her second event is a meet and greet at Ware Public Library in Ware, New Hampshire at 1 p.m. And her third event is a town hall at the Ukrainian Universalist Church in Nashua, New Hampshire at 6:30 p.m. Tom Steyer has 3 events happening today in New Hampshire. His first event is Coffee with Salem Democrats at Farmhouse Roasteries in Salem, New Hampshire at 10 o'clock a.m. His second event, Lunch Roundtable with the Kent Street Coalition at True Brew Bistro in Concord, New Hampshire at 1:15 p.m. And his third event is Meet and Greet, hosted by former State Senate Selva Larson in Concord, New Hampshire at 5:30 p.m. Those are the two candidates that will be in New Hampshire today. Dow futures jump more than 200 points after confirmation of U.S.-China trade talks. U.S. stock index futures were higher Thursday morning after China confirmed its plan to hold trade talks with the U.S. in early October. Hurricane Dorian's death toll rises to 21 as it changes up southeast coast. Hurricane Dorian has killed at least 20 in the Bahamas as well as an elderly man in North Carolina as the powerful storm makes its way up the southeast coast. And that does it for this morning edition of the Riley King Newscast right here on the Riley King Network. I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you back here later on today for another newscast. And I'll have a news report coming up in a little bit. Goodbye, everyone.